The T20 World Cup is already proving a boost for local hoteliers. A program launched to leverage Barbados' archival records. A renewed effort to reduce crime and get young people to amicably settle differences. And in sports, athletes in full preparation mode for the biggest international fitness show in Barbados.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. The expected World Cup boom is already being felt in the local accommodation sector. Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Renee Coppin, says it is recording strong bookings ahead of next month's event. Lorna Jones has more from today's BHTA media briefing.
Good news for Barbados's tourism sector. According to Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Renee Coppin, the BHTA's accommodation members are booked to 50% capacity for June, when thousands are expected to come to the island for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. She says the 50% capacity is pacing 13% ahead from June last year, which ended at just over 37%.
Clearly, we would have liked that number at this point to be a little bit higher. The reports we've received for demand on seats and forward bookings for air tickets provided to us indicate that we are pacing well ahead in those two areas. At this time, we do not have a standardized way of measuring the occupancy in the shared economy. And so it is very possible that the Airbnb and villa segment, which represent, as you may know, a significant portion of our room stock, are seeing the greater benefit of this reported increase in demand. Our report on villa occupancy says that June will finish between 50 to 55%, which is an increase from last year's numbers as well.
Ms. Coppin says the BHTA supports Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge's report that Barbados set a record for long-stay visitor arrivals with a 14.8% increase, totaling 228,828 visitors for the first quarter of this year.
This is a performance we actually expected based on the record airlift into the island from the UK market in the season and an expansion of airlift capacity across every market in this first quarter of 2024 over the same period of last year. This expansion in inbound flights and seats for this year over 2023 is expected to continue over the summer period, which augurs well for the continuation of our improved performance relative to 2023.
The chairman also reported that the hotel occupancy reports for January, February, and March of this year showed 73%, 78.3%, and 77.7% respectively for the first 3 months of the year. She says these numbers represent declines of 8.6%, 7.8%, and 3.2% over last year.
It's important to note that hotels continue to be significant contributors to the taxes generated in the accommodation sector, with both VAT and the room rate levy being applied to hotel stays. While the Tourist Levy Bill of 2019 makes provision for the room rate levy to be applied to tourist accommodation and the shared economy levy to be charged on tourist accommodation owned or operated by persons who earn income from the tourism sector, but who are not registered under the VAT Act, there continues to be uneven application of this 10% levy.
Ms. Coppin added that Barbados's rate of recovery in arrivals for the first quarter is also consistent with a region that witnessed a tremendously improved performance for January to March of 2024 compared to last year. Lorna Jones, CBC News.
Barbados tourism product has been heavily promoted at the Arabia Travel Market and Showcase ahead of the Cricket World Cup. A local team of top tourism officials from the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated took a trip to Dubai to be part of the grand event, which is watched by millions worldwide and is a showcase for some of the wealthiest individuals across the United Arab Emirates. Members of the Barbadian delegation, led by Minister of Tourism Ian Gooding-Edgell, got a chance to speak about the Barbados experience and its attractions and the upcoming cricket tournament. West Indies cricket legends Ian Bradshaw and Joel Garner were among those involved in the promotion activities.
There's a real passion here for cricket, similar to what we get back home. And we told them that this is a wonderful opportunity to learn more about Barbados, the people and so forth. and then to come here to the actual travel market itself, to meet people, sign autographs, engage. It's just been brilliant. So many people are so interested in Barbados.
With all the different activities that we have, we can afford to go worldwide and to promote Barbados, whether it be Oysters Fish Festival, Oysters Fish Market, Oysters on Friday nights, Parsons Cave. It could be anything at all that you could be. But we've been having quite an experience in talking to the travel agents, promoting Barbados. What we like to do is invite everyone to Barbados, not only for the Cricket World Cup, not only for June, but as a tourist destination, as a travel destination.
Managing Director of Blue Sky Luxury, Tonya Wallace, who specializes in luxury villa sales, says they have made progress in forming partnerships with some of the leading travel entities in the UAE.
The quality of villas that we have in Barbados is really second to none in the Caribbean. It's been an exciting time. There's been a lot of interest in new destinations for their visitors. And in the summer months when they travel, when it's really very, very hot on this side of the world, we're hoping that we can help to improve our occupancies in Barbados in the slower months. When it's still, for us, we know is still a wonderful destination and lots to do with our culinary scene, attractions and activities. And we know that we can meet their needs within the villas and looking forward to how things develop.
Government has launched a new program called Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny or ROAD Project. This project, set to be a gift to the island and to the world, is in an effort to leverage the archival records of Barbados. So says Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantal Munro-Knight. She was speaking during the Sankofa pilgrimage's visit to the Department of Archives, where the group was hopeful of tracing their Barbadian ancestral roots at the genealogy market.
Barbados has the second oldest transatlantic slave records in the world. In the world, second to the UK. It is about leveraging those records, again, that we can make connections, that we can give the world our own stories.
Well, specialist on Barbadian-Liberian migration, Dr. Carrie Banton, believes the time has come for history, particularly that of Liberia, to be included and include more diversity. Her comments came at the Sankofa colloquy organized by the Department of History of the University of the West Indies. That all-day event hosted in the graduation tent celebrated Barbadian-Liberian roots.
We need new archives that will trouble static notions of context and singular histories and establish and interrogate the established canons and conventions and norms that sustain certain power dynamics across the globe and in our societies. So recentering other archives will highlight not only the kinds of dominant configuration of historical memory and knowledge production, but also invite us to think about how archives and discovering new ways of writing history can reveal gaps, fissures, and the incompleteness of records.
And while welcoming the delegation to the campus, Deputy Principal Professor Winston Moore encouraged them to consider studying at the campus.
We encourage you to explore the various options through which you or your children and relatives can join us here at the University of the West Indies Cave campus. This, ladies and gentlemen, is just a snapshot of what we have to offer, and we will continue to expand upon this offering during your stay and over the next couple of years.
The Hamilton Lashley Human Development Foundation and community practitioners plan to renew efforts to channel young people into productive activity and away from crime and violence. The meeting, held at the founder Hamilton Lashley's residence, included Chairman of the Foundation, Henderson Williams, PRO of the Bayland Masters football team, Pedro Agard, and community practitioner Winston Istanbul Branch, who was instrumental in the peace treaty. Branch says any increase in crime impacts more than a community, but a country.
It brings me to stages where innocent people that are involved with it go mourn because a mother go bury a son, and then a mother go run behind the son that the police got, then she go run it to the prison all the time. We can settle a lot of the things that we end up in the hospital, the cemetery, and the jail. We can settle a lot of these things through just bare rhetoric You understand me? It don't have to come to that. Is more than killing all the time, right? What we like to see is that the community spirit come back.
Chairman of the Hamilton Lashley Foundation, Henderson Williams, says more focus must be on investing in community and community activities, noting the influence and impact the foundation can have.
Because of the nature of who we are and where we are linked to most all of the St. Michael constituencies in one way or the other. But we hold strong in the belief that the intervention of social engagement, sporting activity, football, and so on within our communities has an impact on the level of crime within these marginalized, marginal communities.
Coming up, the region is on notice for an influx of sargassum. Barbados and the Caribbean have been warned to be on the lookout for an influx of sargassum seaweed. The Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism says a large quantity is on its way. Executive Director Milton Horton says some countries are already being impacted. Mr. Horton's comments came during a discussion held on the 8th International Cooperation Conference of the Association of Caribbean States in Suriname.
I think the bulk of the inundation is still on its way, and the trend, really, long-term trend since 2011 is an upward trend in terms of the size of the blooms of sargassum. So it is something that we have to deal with.
Though the sargassum seaweed is deemed a nuisance, Mr. Horton says it is a natural part of the marine environment that plays an important role in the marine ecosystem. He has pointed the finger at climate change and nitrification of ocean water.
We have been dumping and nutrients into the sea for years, and it's accumulating, and you have enrichment, nutrient enrichment in certain areas, and these things are fueling sargassum growth. In addition, there are some subtle changes taking place in ocean circulation, which is also contributing to some extent, lesser extent, to the beaching of sargassum that we are experiencing.
Government's Million Trees project is growing. Minister of the Environment and National Beautification Adrian Ford has announced that close to 600,000 trees have been planted as part of the project launched by Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley in 2019. During a press conference, Mr. Ford says he's pleased with the project's progress despite setbacks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
I am very pleased with the officers. The dedicated efforts and jobs, the job that they have been doing, and to say to Barbadians that not albeit for the challenges of COVID and the water scarcity, because recognize that during the drought season, for instance, what we are experiencing right now, that we really and truly can't plant trees around this time, the drought season, and the 2 years of COVID, I can say that I am pretty pleased with the almost 600,000 trees that we have planted thus far.
Meanwhile, dendrologist Nigel Jones is insisting the project must not be taken for granted and is calling on Barbadians to keep planting trees. He says trees play an important role in the ecosystem.
We have various species of termites, woodats, and so on that are out there that are looking for homes. And by planting trees, we are creating residencies for those species. It's important to know that if we don't do that, they would enter our homes, and then it will be a serious social impact because government will have to find money now rather than buying an ambulance or a fire truck or a police vehicle to start building homes for people.
Another youth organization in Barbados is now further strengthened with the addition of new members. Joshua Hinkson reports.
The rhythm of anticipation filled the air as the sun dipped slowly, casting a warm glow over the parade ground. It was an evening for the intake 16 recruits of the Barbados Pathfinder Band as they stood in perfect formation before Minister of Labour, Social Security and Third Sector Colin Jordan, family, friends and well-wishers. In addressing the parade, President of the Eastern Caribbean Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, Pastor Anthony Hall, welcomed the recruits into the ranks and reminded them of their duty to serve.
I congratulate you for the choice you have made to pursue what I call a career of service in our church's paramilitary forces. You have accepted to abide by the requirements of exceptional discipline, honor, loyalty, and extraordinary commitment to your youth department, your church, its people, and I dare say by extension the nation and people of Barbados. It is no secret that citizens not affiliated with our church show up at independence parades to watch you and to be entertained by you. Do not underestimate the value you have to the nation of Barbados and its people.
Meanwhile, Assistant Band Leader Yvette Gradid stated that the Pathfinder Band not only focuses on music, but also caters to the needs of young people.
Our aim is to grow from strength to strength and extend our musical witness and ministry within our local conference and beyond. Our ministry is not only a musical ministry, but we also focus on building up the emotional, spiritual, social, and physical lives of our youth.
For the recruits, it was the culmination of months of dedication, discipline, and determination, attributes that Recruitment Officer Tristan Williams encouraged the new members to embrace.
You have made all of us proud, but the journey has only now begun. As you embark on this new chapter of your band journey, I want you to always remember why you signed up and why you are here. The attributes you brought and the skills you are being taught, always hold fast to them.
The Pathfinder Band has served Barbados for 53 years. Joshua Hinkson, CBC News.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
You hear that? You know it's time to join Damien Best in the world of sports. Damien.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to all viewers and listeners. Well, the biggest bodybuilding event in the Caribbean is set to be hosted here in Barbados this Saturday. 2 events in one day. The Roger Boys Classic and the IFBB Elite Pro World Cup 2024 will be at the Willie Gymnasium. Barbadian competitors have been hard at work in preparation. CBC's Melissa Farley reports.
About 50 countries, including host Barbados, will be vying for bodybuilding and fitness status when 2 major events take to the Garfield Sober Sports Complex.
It's very exciting at this point. Obviously, this is a huge undertaking. It's a very large event being held in the Caribbean. I believe we have 20 more pros attending this event than the prior years, and we also have additional amateurs who will be attending this show.
Local professional and amateur athletes will be among some of the world's best, and the Barbadian competitors are hoping to come out on top. Professional Ramon Brooms is aiming for at least a top 3 finish this time around, having to settle in 4th place for the past 2 years.
Things have been looking pretty good. I was pretty much ready 2 weeks ago, so it's just trying to maintain the focus. In the past, I would have been ready early and, fall off the wagon, but that has not happened this year, so I definitely feel very confident.
For seasoned professional Lemar Howard, the goal is to be world champion, despite who he goes up against.
The competition is very stiff. It reaches a point where everybody is great, but then they're the greats among the greats, and that's where we're trying to get to.
Danielle Gill has been plagued with injuries, but she is still pushing through.
The major thing that I've been doing this year would have been cutting back on my quad movements because I am quad dominant, which isn't the best thing for bikini fitness. So I would say definitely this year my quads have become much smaller and a little bit more defined as well.
Hot conditions have been a challenge for Sanaj Lewis, but he has been making the necessary adjustments to reach his physical goals.
The training has been pretty intense from last year. The conditions in Barbados is a bit hot this last year, so you gotta keep more hydrated. But I find that there's a little taxing on your body this year, but other than that, everything has been going to plan.
And Gerard Mason is bringing his A game and is grateful to be a part of it all.
Last year was a rough year for Classic Physique. We had about 8 people and it was a good lineup, and I'm looking forward to go back up against those guys. Those guys brought their package and I can bring mine.
The action will be at the Wildy Gym on May 11th. Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
Well, Dominica showed their class in the boxing ring against a local contingent when the annual Horace Phillips Memorial Tournament concluded recently at a Graydon City Secondary School auditorium. Here's a look at some of the action. Graydon Sealy, the venue for the annual Horace Phillips Memorial Boxing Tournament. Light welterweight bout featuring Rashawn Holder of Briar Hall Gym in the red corner versus Jazari Narain Mears of National Gym. Both fighters exchanging hooks and jabs in the opening minutes. This one lasted 1 round though, as the referee stopped the fight to check on the status of Holder with a standing 8 count. Narain Mears then of National Gym with the victory. On to the next one, Joshua Toussaint of Dominica in the blue corner versus Abishe Jean-Baptiste of Fort Hill Gym in the red trunks. These two were trying to bob and weave their way out of trouble. And on the other cage, Toussaint targeted the body of Jean-Baptiste and iced it with some vicious uppercuts. At least the conditioning of both boxers were tested as they made it to 3 rounds. Toussaint pressing home his superiority and Jean-Baptiste running out of steam. It was the closing stages of the bout that the referee had to step in as Jean-Baptiste was reduced to a punching bag. Clearly, he was receiving excessive punishment. Victory goes to Toussaint of Dominica. Light middleweight clash now, Wayne Clark of Fort Hill Gym with the red gloves versus Cobia Calendar. Clark caught Calendar with a wicked left hook to the head that shook his foundation. Calendar's field strategy, reaching and ducking, exposed by Clark, who sent him scrambling to the corner. A referee saving the day with the count. But Clark went right back to the tried and tested combinations from body to head. And here comes the man in black and white to save the day. Did the right thing there to stop this one in round 1. Easy win for Wayne Clark over Cobia Calendar. Into the heavyweight section, Ashan Miller in the red headgear, repping Zen Life Gym versus Kai Reed of Fort Hill Gym. This one would please the tacticians. Miller's footwork and movement versus the cautiousness of Reed. The straight jabs of Reed hitting their mark, but countered by a big arching right hook from Miller. In the judges' eyes, Reed had ticked all the boxes, and despite the overwhelming support Miller had from the spectators, the decision was final. Victory for the blue corner. Finally, the curtain closed of the big boys. Super heavyweight bout with Barbadian Seth Lawrence of Fighting Fit Gym versus Delroy Charles of Dominica in the blue corner. It was like watching a tug of war with equal power on both sides of the rope. The crowd locked in and loving it. The slugfest was worth every penny of the admission. Lawrence with some golden moments, pinning his opponent in the corner and trying to take advantage, but he started to tire. This one going down to the wire, and the judges, after careful consideration, would award the fight to Charles of Dominica on points. Seth Lawrence can be proud though. He was entertaining. Good night of competition all around at the Graydon Sealy Auditorium.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
With much attention on health and wellness, insurance giant Agicor has introduced an all-encompassing program. Manager Communications, Corporate Social Responsibility and Events, Randy Howard, tells the Business Report the initiative started with what is called Walking Wednesdays and is the brainchild of Vice President and General Manager Paul Innes. He said it is aimed at creating a better work environment, raising productivity and improving health.
We are a health insurance company. That is a big focus for us, especially when you're talking about the control of NCDs and reducing NCDs, which we all know has a serious impact on the health situation in Barbados and the healthcare service in Barbados. So we at Agicor is about promoting health and wellness, and we're starting right here within our own walls with our team members.
The company official said the initiative is wide and varied and has caught the attention of other businesses.
The program has been viewed very favorably by other companies in Barbados. Our Executive Vice President and General Manager, Mr. Paul Innes, is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and he's had conversations with other members of the Chamber who've loved this initiative. So would we love to see this expanded to other companies in Barbados? Of course. But we encourage it most definitely. So even discussions like this, interviews like this, is a way of showing Barbadians that we are out there trying to make sure our staff members remain healthy, trying to encourage them on this health and wellness journey. And if we can encourage other Barbadian companies to do the same thing, we would love it.
Bringing the Caribbean closer together is the focus of You're So Nice. It's an initiative of local chef and farmer Stephen Walcott, affectionately known as Boppa in the hospitality industry. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Manager Stephen Boppa Walcott tells the Business Report a good chef and food consistency moves You're So Nice to the next level. He says in a saturated market, everything is available all hours of the day, but it is his farming skills that gives the edge in the marketplace. According to him, the name says it all.
I grew up most of the herbs. I'm also a farmer, Boppa herbs, so my herbs is natural from the ground, from my ground, straight to the restaurant. So we got flavor. My herbs along with the Jamaican restaurant. And you know, the Jamaican restaurant, I'm a Bajan owner, but a Jamaican chef.
The restaurant owner says location is also a strong point for the Worthing Christchurch-based business.
Food and drink, and we're also doing like oxtail, curry goat, jerk chicken, snapper. Any fish could be brown stew, escabeche, fried chicken, stew pork. And that's what we're offering. So I forget about all these fancy prices that people have to offer.
Mr. Walcott says preparations have been made as well for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
We World Cup ready, you know, and we will be ready for World Cup, and we're going to have lots of food from early in the day till probably about 12 at night then. And I'm prepared and ready for the rush.
Insiders say You're So Nice is a touch of Jamaica in Barbados. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Now for the other half of sports, Damien Best.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, Deacons increased their chances of relegation safety with a 2-0 win over Britain's Hill when the action in the BFA Premier League continued at the Wildy Turf recently. CBC's Margaret Boyce reports.
Deacons in red battling to stay above the relegation zone are up against Britain's Hill at the BFA headquarters. Scoreless first half between the sides, so let's skip ahead to the second half. The score remained goalless for the majority of the match up until the 81st minute. Russell Taylor with a sub-line diagonal pass to Shukwan Haynes. Excellent control, and the finish was spectacular. Outside of the boot, Deacons 1, Britain's Hill 0. Having taken the lead, Deacons were full of confidence. 8 minutes later, this happened. Brilliant skill from Kavion Innes, who's brought down in the box. Referee Jermaine Newsom says, yup, that's a penalty. Deacons with a chance to double their lead. Captain Keon Manface Atkins then steps up and delivers the goods, slotting it home out of the keeper's reach. And that's how it ended. Deacons securing a much-needed win with a 2-0 victory over Britain's Hill. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Yeah, thanks, Anmar. Meantime, in the other encounter on the night, Paradise and Kickstart Rush played to a goalless draw. Well, the Ryan Brathwaite track at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex was a buzz last weekend when the Athletics Association of Barbados held its May Classic. CBC's Melissa Farley looks at some of the 100-meter events.
The under-13 girls are up and running, and only 5 runners are in this one. Check out lane number 2 with Nigel Jones Williams pushing. But here comes Zuri Guy closer to your screen in lane 7 to easily take the win. 13.94 was her winning time. Up next, the boys under-13s. 3 sections in this one, and here goes the first. All fighting for the finish line. Brian Lashley out in lane 2 seems to be the one to beat as he clocked 13.43 seconds. He would eventually finish second overall. This second section will be the fastest of the 3, and a familiar name dominated this one. Lane 6 has Jalino Hamlet for company as he beat the field in 12.86 seconds. That time was the winning one overall. On to the under-15s. The girls are off the mark. This is the first of 2 sections. And the fastest time overall was posted by Natalia Hunt out in lane 1 in 13.38 seconds. 2 sections were also in the under-15 boys division. 5 runners on the line for the first one. Look at Zephaniah Pilgrim in lane 3, the fastest time of 11.96 seconds for the overall win. A bigger field was on the card for the under-18s, but this final section was the fastest race, and the shortest competitor in lane 7 managed to hold it together and powered her way through for the win. It was Soraya Nichols in a time of 12.69. And the final section in the under-18 boys, this was the fastest of the 4, and Jakai Brewster posted that overall winning time of 11.44 seconds to lead Darian Belgriff into second and Mackay King in third. Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
And that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.